Hi there, welcome to Taurus Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Taurus energy, and like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I'll refer to as high vibe Taurus energy, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy. We all have to make decisions in our life and in our free will, and you know, in our high vibe nature, we might want to take some action and hope and faith and belief and love, but in our more worldly, shadowy nature, we might have a problem with that because our fear and our insecurity and our pride and our ego and things like that, we could want to keep indulging those things. Or, you know, our shadow natures like immature, prideful, defensive. Got to learn. Life's about learning lessons, and we have to be willing to see that we need to learn some lessons or grow or heal or mature in some way or expand our perception of ourselves in the world and what we believe is possible. And so some people could be struggling within themselves, going back and forth about if they should live life differently, change jobs, friendships, relationships. Other people are done with the debate, and some people decided, I'm okay living life the way I've been living it. I'm not going to do anything different. Other people got to that period of being conflicted, and they did move forward in life differently. So, and we all move forward in life at different times. We all heal or grow or mature ourselves at different times in our life. When we're ready to move forward in life, some other people aren't. When other people are ready to move forward, we're not. And most of the time, it's okay. You know, we say, hey, you do you, I'll do me. And we can get along just fine. We know all sorts of different people in the world. The problem can be when it's more of a close friendship or a romantic relationship. And, you know, then if we're kind of not on the same page, you know, much more challenging. Taurus energy has to do with our philosophy of life, how we view ourselves, how we view the world, how we view ourselves in relationships, how we view other people that we could get in relationship with. You know, it's all these things in our head of Taurus is like the Supreme Court in our own head. All the rules and regulations that we have decided are just and fair, and what we've decided is just and fair can be completely different than what someone else thinks is just and fair. Just how to treat each other. High vibe energy is walking the talk, and you are grown and mature, and you treat other people the way you like to be treated. And some people don't like to walk the talk. They like to present themselves like a pillar of society. But again, they can be stubborn or prideful, immature, hurtful, unkind, you know. So we're going to probably be talking about all of that. At the end, we're going to get some cards out to ask what a potential outcome could be for people, depending if they harness a more high vibrational Taurus energy or a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy. So let's go look at the bottom row. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Lover's card, which is Gemini energy, which has to do with our free will. It's a dualistic sign. What is our truth? Do I make decisions in life, and am I motivated and inspired to learn lessons, deal with the truth, let love and intuition guide me? Or would I rather be more about not seeing the truth, staying in denial of the truth, make my life maybe more about me or these things of the world that I either want to indulge in, that I think will make me happy? I don't have to do love. I'll just indulge in these things, or I'll make my life more about me. And if it's more about me, I'm sure then I'll be happy. Or if I make my life more about money or materialism or status or image. And I think for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're all kind of pretty focused on the world. There's all these things in the world that we want to go indulge in, that we're sure will make us happy, these things we want to manifest. And the reason for the top row's reading is the Fool card, which is fire sign energy, that initially we're pretty fired up about the world and all these things. But as we get older and we've kind of learned all these lessons, hopefully we get more inspired to not make our life so much about those things and really about living our more authentic life. So the bottom row, we have the Four of Cups, the Justice card, the Temperance, the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and the Queen of Wands. So the Four of Cups can just talk about that we haven't learned to love ourselves. You know, like being a good parent to ourselves, being our own best mother, father, coach voice in our head. And in our more codependent nature, we can look for other people to love us, you know? And we're looking to get justice in the world, but we haven't quite learned how to love ourselves, be more balanced within ourselves, be more bold and brave and confident. And we just got all these lessons to learn. So we kind of, and we could have had people in our life that weren't very loving. We maybe could have tried to offer them love and they rejected our love. And then we can feel unlovable, you know, and then we're kind of looking for other people to love us and validate our worth and value. And that initially can be in the Justice card, how we view life. And in the Temperance card, we're trying to balance out our emotions that, you know, we do have all these lessons to learn. And in the Knight of Wands, we're going to go on these journeys to go learn all these lessons. Does this make me happy? Do I like this? Do I not like this? And we come in contact with all these different people in the world, and it's all about trying to help us get clear about what our truth is. And we'll go pursue a lot of things and people in our life, and sometimes we're really trying to get people who aren't being loving to us or to change other people. Well, that person's prideful and egotistical. I'm going to try to make them get more balanced and learn these lessons, and because I want them to move forward with me in a loving relationship, you know? And we try to get people who haven't learned to love themselves, get balanced within themselves, learn lessons in life, and we can spend a lot of time and effort trying to get other people to change and get other people to love us. And then in the Ace of Cups, we kind of realize, I need to learn to love me. And I need to be inspired in the Knight of Wands to learn the lessons I was meant to learn. That everybody does have free will. Not everybody is motivated by love. Some people don't ever want to do authentic love, because that means they've got to get out of their defensive nature, their more immature, self-indulgent nature. Love is supposed to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And some people are like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. Let me back in. I want to keep living life like this, where I reject love. And that is in their Gemini nature. They have the free will. I don't want to do love. I don't want to learn to love myself. I don't want to heal or grow or mature myself. I don't want to change my viewpoint of how I view life. I think making my life not doing love, I can be in relationships and indulge myself in a relationship. I think that's just and fair. I don't really want to be emotionally vulnerable and authentic in a relationship. And I also might want to be immature or defensive in a relationship. And I'm just looking for someone who'll balance out their emotions about being in a relationship with me being defensive to love. And right now, some of the people in the world who are defensive to love, they're trying to find someone new to be in a relationship with, or are in a new relationship, hoping that the person they're in a relationship with will just keep being patient, hoping one day they'll change. They've probably had other people in their life that tried to offer them love, to inspire them, to align with their more hopeful, believing nature. I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy. We're either operating from our more worldly, egoic Leo energy, fear, insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed, immaturity, laziness, defensiveness, or we're inspired to align with our high vibe Leo, Taurus energy, being authentic, loving, warm, encouraging, inspiring, because that's who we are internally, because we've learned how to do that within ourselves. We took that cup of higher love to get balanced within ourselves. 2 cards of like getting balanced And even though we could be kind of defensive of change, because we all like to stay in our comfort zone, because otherwise we are having to offer love to be more in our fire sign energy of being more bold and brave and confident, and to face our fears and love ourselves and believe in love, and to quit repeating some old patterns where we try to change other people. And we take that cup of love and realize the only person I can change is me. But for a long time, we might chase after people. We might want things to work out the way we want it to work. But if some people are unloving, their idea of what's just and fair is different than your idea of just and fair. Other people just balance out their emotions, which is what the Temperance card can talk about the fact that they're defensive to love. And then they want to be in relationships with other people who'll just balance out their emotions about the fact that these people don't want to do love. And they might not want to do life any differently. They have a way of living life that they think is just and fair. And for some people, it's like, I want to not do love. How about you do love? How about you be more balanced and inspired and truthful and honest and just and fair and loving? That's perfect. I'll be in a relationship with you, but that's not the truth of who I am. But that's what some people are looking for. I'm looking for someone who's very tempered their ego, is loving and nurturing and supportive, and that's like shadowy fire energy. I want to be in a relationship and indulge myself in a relationship. I want to keep operating from my ego or my defensiveness or my unloving nature or anybody can view a relationship as being just and fair. They just have to find someone who agrees with them. And you might have known some people who were like that. You wished they'd move forward with you in a more just and fair and balanced and loving and authentic way. But they kept saying, no, I'm going to keep doing this. And eventually it's kind of like we're illuminated to the truth. Okay. What drives and motivates us is different. What we think is just and fair is different. Our idea of the dream relationship or dream life is different. You might be more aligned with being about yourself, making your life about these things of the world. And I'm ready to go on a new journey. I have learned the lessons I was meant to learn from this life experience. And I'm no longer going to try to change other people. They have the free will to live their life whatever way they want. If they want to be bossy, manipulative, prideful, egotistical, hurtful, unkind, immature, impulsive, reckless, they have the free will to do that. And if that's where they are in their thinking, logic, and reasoning and their emotional maturity level, you're not going to be a fool for that anymore. You spoke your truth in love. I am inspired to harness high vibe fire sign energy, motivated and inspired by truth and love, where people are supposed to be authentic and loving and warm and just and fair. And if you're not, and that's the energy I'm in and the type of people I want to be in a relationship with, I see the truth that that's not who you are. So out of love for myself, I'm going to go on this new journey. And that's when we, distance ourselves from certain people. We leave jobs, we get out of certain friendship groups or organizations or romantic relationships. Shadowy energy can be either where people, they're comfortable living their life the way they're living it, and we wanted to move forward and maybe just do some other things. Again, if it's friends, I'm going to start doing this on Friday and Saturday, and I know we've kind of done that for a long time. I'm just ready to go do something new. Does anybody want to go with? And some of the people might come with, some of the people might not. But it's like, I don't love it like I used to. I might have used to love it. The Four of Cups is Cancer energy, which can be emotionally about things that we love. I might have loved to have done that, but we've kind of done it for a long time. I'm kind of inspired to go do something else, or I might have loved this job at one time, but now that I've maybe learned some lessons in life and I'm not as defensive as I used to be, and I've got more balance within myself and feel a little more confident within myself, I think I'm ready to take a new job or go look for a new job. High vibe energy is about being independent of your shadow nature, your fear, your insecurities, your more lustful, greedy, self-indulgent nature, because it's about growing to your full potential and facing your fears, about stepping out of your comfort zone, to listen to your intuition, to believe in yourself. I want to not have these things manipulate me. I don't want my fear or my insecurity or my more codependent nature to keep manipulating me. I don't want to be in relationships with people who are maybe more codependent or immature or bossy or unloving or unjust or unfair to keep manipulating me. High vibe energy is about being independent, respecting other people as being their own independent people, wanting other people to respect you as being your own independent person. We are not children anymore. People are not supposed to treat us like a child and try to control us like a child, and we shouldn't be trying to be like a parent to someone else. If they want someone to be like a parent to them, they can go find someone else to be in a relationship with. I'm looking for people who have grown and healed and matured themselves, are balanced within themselves, are inspired to grow and heal and mature themselves, get out of their more ego nature, defensive nature, immature nature. So, kind of when those things happen in a workplace, friendship, or relationship, some people moved on. We have the Two of Swords, the Page of Swords, the Six of Cups, and the Five of Swords. So the high vibe people, maybe we also have lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. How many times our intuition could have been telling us this door's shut? These people have turned their back. They're living their life in a way that they think is just and fair. And if you want to live your life differently, more motivated and inspired by love, or being more independent, being more aligned with truth and love, they don't want you there. Or if you're not going to indulge me in my more immature nature, then go away. I only want to be in relationships with people who are going to indulge me being immature or bossy or controlling. But how many people were like, no, hell no, I'm going to change your mind. I'm going to make you do love. Because I want what I want, and I had a dream, and I love you, and I want it to come into reality. And the other people are like, I'm not doing that. I will be in a relationship with you, but you have to kind of give that up. If you think that's how I'm going to move forward, you're wrong. You can come in if you let go of being inspired to love yourself and believe in yourself and want me to change. I'll let you in if you're going to do it the way I want. Well, you're already in the relationship with them doing it the way they wanted. And for some people, they're like, I feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love here. I don't feel like it's like an authentic, meaningful relationship or a deep, meaningful relationship, or I don't feel it's just and fair. I feel like I'm always the one having to be patient and kind of the one trying to motivate and inspire people. I would like to be in relationships with people who in turn are loving and encouraging and supportive of me. And when we kind of work through, why don't I love myself? Why do I stay in this? Why do I rationalize this as being just and fair? And part of it can be because we have fear of being more independent, loving ourselves, believing in ourselves. And the people who did that work within themselves to figure out, why do I keep staying in situations that I really don't think are just and fair. And then they start to listen to their intuition. I think our intuition was given to us as a gift, but our fear can cloud our judgment. Our codependent nature can cloud our judgment. But then we start to listen to our intuition that I want to give birth to something new. So the Page of Swords could be I'm going to listen to my more hopeful, believing inner child nature about what I think. The Page of Swords can represent Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini energy. What I think is just and fair. What are my dreams? What's my truth versus what other people's truth is, and what kind of drives and motivates them? And the Six of Cups is Scorpio energy. In high vibe, Scorpio energy is about, I want to feel emotionally balanced within myself. I want to see the truth about the past so I can kind of get out of my ego about it. And the way to do that is to offer love to the situation. So we offer love to the past. Again, seeing that everyone is where they're at. Different people in our life, some were loving, nurturing, supportive, some were bossy, immature, prideful, unjust, unfair. And it's just that everybody is where they're at, having learned the lessons they've learned. And did they deal with their past pain and heartbreak, their fears, their insecurities, things that happened to them in their past? Because the Six of Cups can talk about the past. And high vibe people get inspired to make peace with the past. I accept that just like I had growing up in healing and maturing to do and lessons learned, so does everybody else. Some people never learned how to be more just and fair, to temper their ego, temper their fear, temper their more immature, self-indulgent, self-centered nature. I accept it, so that I can let it go. And then in high vibe Scorpio energy, which Scorpio is water sign energy, emotional water sign energy, I want to be in more balanced relationships than I could have been in the past. And I could have been repeating a pattern where I keep trying to change other people, being drawn and attracted to people who are unloving, I don't think are just and fair, but they might think they're just and fair. And, when we're young, we have people in our life that we kind of are more codependent on, that we maybe need to get along with because we're codependent on them because we're a child. But then when we get older, it's like, there's things I didn't like about some of the traits and characteristics of those people. I don't want to be in relationships with people who are like that anymore. When I see people are bossy or controlling or unjust or unfair or unloving, I'm going to wish them peace. I've gotten out of my ego about it. I don't need to try to make people who are like that love me. I've had people in my past who were like that, who weren't loving. And I gave myself that cup of love to heal my ego about it. I'm not trying to get people who have a certain way of being in the world, like they have to love me or appreciate me or value me. We have different values. We view life differently. I can wish you peace. You go live your life with whoever you want to. I want to be in relationships with people who are more balanced within themselves emotionally, have reconciled themselves with some issues from their past, who want to be in deep, meaningful relationships based on love. And then the Five of Swords. The fives can talk about change. I've changed. Everybody has the free will to choose love. And if they choose love and choose to love themselves and give themselves the things that they wish other people would have given them, and just be willing to deal with the truth. Not everybody is going to like you or love you. Some people have these shadowy ways of being. Are we willing to see the truth of it? Some people aren't. Some people, have some past pain and heartbreak that kind of has them in their ego about some people in their life. They wanted those people to be just and fair with them, to treat them. And so then they can keep chasing after people who have those traits and characteristics, even though they maybe swore, I don't ever want to be in a relationship with someone like that. Sometimes, but some people can just have people who present themselves as loving, but maybe in more shadowy Scorpio energy that they could have harnessed. Maybe they were more emotionally shallow and superficial. But by a lot of aspects in the world, it could have seemed like they had justice in the world. And so some people still think, oh, I can get justice in the world. My comfort zone is to be in relationships with people who are more superficial and shallow, and I don't really have experience being more authentically myself or being in relationships with people who are more loving and warm and nurturing. That's like outside my comfort zone. I'm going to go find people that, are kind of what I'm used to. And even if it is, you're bossy or unloving, I'm used to that. I know how to deal with people who are like that. I don't know how to deal with people who might be more inspired by love and might do more equal give and take in a relationship, who aren't maybe living more from their mind than their heart. And we all like to be in our comfort zone, so we can repeat these past patterns and we can keep trying to encourage people who might be more emotionally disconnected, live more from their mind than their heart, their ego, their defensive nature, are more immature, have a lot of mental conflict, and, we're going to be this person who we think can change them. But, if you were to look at yourself and lessons you've had to learn in life, we can all say, oh, I want to change. Well, most people don't, like, boom, I decided I'm going to start exercising every day. I'm going to quit eating donuts. I'm going to stop getting lattes. I'm going to quit being harsh and critical inner voice. Those things don't happen overnight. We can say it's going to happen overnight, and then it can take years for us to, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And before we've really reconciled with that past habit or past way of indulging ourselves or past way of viewing life, it can take years or decades just to learn one lesson. And some people are not motivated at all. Some people don't think they have to be loving. The worldly shadowy row can represent, with like the Justice card here, Libra, and the Queen of Wands, Leo energy. Some people have a lot of, just like high vibe people, but they can have certain traits, qualities, characteristics, charming, attractive, money, social clout, or whatever. And some people think, I don't have to do love. There's going to be other people who kind of maybe don't love and believe in themselves or have these things of the world that I have. And I think they'll come towards me because they want these things of the world that I have, because they think it would be, because we view those things as like kind of being, if I had those things, I'd have justice in the world. So there's some people who are like, I don't have to be loving. If I'm aligned with my more worldly nature, and instead of doing love, I could have thought it was just and fair to maybe invest in being inspired more by the world to look a certain way, have a certain status or image, have a certain amount of wealth. And if I do that, there's going to be other people who will view me as having justice in the world, like someone they're attracted to get in a relationship with. And then I don't have to do love. I'll get in a relationship maybe with someone who's loving and nurturing and supportive. That's their job. And that's how some people can view life. If I have certain things of the world that other people want, I don't have to grow up. I don't have to temper my ego. I don't have to mature myself. I don't have to do love. I just need to find someone who is loving and warm and authentic and try to get them in a relationship with me. And hoping that as time goes by, when they start to see that I kind of repeat some poor past patterns that might remind them of people they've known in their life or when they were younger and growing up, how people, because initially people can, in their Taurus energy, people can look like pillars of society. They do these certain things in life and they dress a certain way and they could be good at business and financially and all that they look like someone that people want to be in relationships with. But then as time goes by, the loving people are being loving and encouraging and supportive, trying to get them to bring the dream into reality. And then as time goes by, they could start to see that person is like, no, I'll be in a relationship with you. I'll maintain these things that I do to have a certain status or image in the world so it all looks good. But I'm not doing love. And then the people that they're in a relationship with could kind of realize, oh my gosh, maybe I didn't listen to my intuition. And because, this person seemed like they had presented themselves as being on the same page as me. Now that I did find out the truth, but I'm already in a relationship with them, or I took that job, now I have mental conflict about leaving. And sometimes that's what some shadowy people are hoping. Well, I'm hoping if I present myself as being a certain way, you get in it by the time you find out the truth. And that I might be more emotionally shallow and superficial. Like I might look like I'm a more emotionally mature, loving, just, fair person who acts with character and integrity. And then later you kind of find out that I have I don't maybe really listen to my intuition. I might be kind of immature. I might repeat some poor past patterns because of my mental conflict, because from the Page of Swords to the Five of Swords, in between there is the Four of Swords. They have some issues from their past they have not healed from. And so instead of being more bold and brave and confident and having hope and faith and belief and love, they go back to thinking it's just and fair to not offer love, to live more from their mind than their heart, repeat some poor past patterns that aren't conducive to a relationship moving forward. Like, well, I'm going to ignore you. You're either being truthful and honest and just and fair in a relationship, or you're kind of trying to confuse people about the truth of who you are. And then you kind of try to manipulate people in a relationship. Well, I'm going to turn my back on you. I'm not going to emotionally invest in you. If you won't do the relationship the way I want, then I'm going to reject you. I might know you're a just and fair and patient and balanced and loving person, but I don't like that you've changed. I don't like that you've healed. I don't like that you're not the same person you were when we got in this relationship. I don't like that you're more bold and brave and confident. I don't like that you're stepping outside of a comfort zone that when we could have first gotten married or in a relationship, when you weren't maybe listening as much to your intuition, when you hadn't learned to love yourself, when you were repeating some patterns that maybe were some patterns and ways of viewing life that I viewed life like too, but you've changed. And as the high vibe people try to get those people to work through their fears and insecurities to move forward with them, some of them are like, no, I'm not going to do it. If you want to do your life like that, you can go. I'll go find someone else to get in a relationship. And these people might have some lessons to learn. And just like we had some lessons to learn in our life, when we were kind of hadn't learned to love ourselves and we had certain ways of living life that we thought was just and fair, there could have been people in our life that we could have been friends with, we could have dated, or we didn't become friends with them, or we didn't date them because they kind of lived their life differently than we were living life at that time. We're all on these different pages. But then, as people do learn lessons, they might kind of think of some of these people in their life that kind of were more emotionally balanced and maybe more enlightened than we were at one point in time. And I think when people learn lessons in life and they grow up and mature themselves and feel more bold and brave and confident within themselves and learn to love themselves so they're not repeating some old patterns, they might communicate with some people in their past that, hey, because they're not operating from their ego. I had some lessons to learn. I had to learn to love myself. I was repeating some old patterns. Now I've kind of learned those lessons. And in High Vibe, the Page of Swords is just being truthful and authentic, just stating the truth that I've changed and I'm going on this new journey. If you're open to being friends again, maybe we could be friends again moving forward. And it might cause some of the people that you communicate with some mental conflict because, then they're kind of worried, well, did you really, and that's when people have to listen to their intuition about what people communicated to them. And same way as you're moving forward in your life, there could be some people in your life that communicate with you that, hey, and you'll have to listen to your intuition. Who seems to have really learned some lessons in life and who just what they went to go pursue didn't work out the way they wanted. So now they want to come be in a relationship with you. And it's like, but I was already in a friendship or relationship with you or worked for you before with those certain people there. And just because like the next employee didn't work out or the next friend or the next relationship didn't work out, if you're the same person you were, I don't want to be in a relationship with you again. I've made peace with it. I saw the truth of kind of what drove and motivated you, and I saw where you could be maybe more motivated by yourself or the world, or being indulged, or being immature, or being egotistical, or whatever, stubborn, prideful, more about ego and image and love. And everybody has to kind of decide, and, the Five of Swords can talk about communication, that some people, as we're moving forward, some of the people that have moved on ahead of us, that it's kind of like, I don't know, I kind of think, I don't, I don't think you quite view life the way I view it, I'm not sure what I want. Do I really think we're kind of on the same page? The Four of Swords also is Libra energy. Do I think we view life the same? Do I think we're motivated and inspired by the same things? Or do I think you're kind of maybe more immature or still got illusions about what it means to be in a relationship? Have you done this work within yourself to be more authentic, be more independent of being manipulated by the past, by your fear, by whatever? Have you been enlightened to the truth that it's love is what, the guiding factor is supposed to be? And there could be some people that maybe, when we don't stay in certain friendships or relationships with people, we're kind of going and living our life, and sometimes we're kind of on a parallel track with other people. There could be people in our life that we could have viewed as someone that we we're kind of on the same page with, that we could have had a deep, meaningful relationship with, but we still had mental conflict, maybe about being in a more committed relationship. And so then a relationship can separate and people have to go learn these lessons. And then if one person learns these lessons and communicates with the other person, well, the other person might have already moved on in a new relationship, and it could cause them some mental conflict because it's like, oh, I'd always really was hoping we could be in a relationship. But for some of those people, you know, they have to think about, you know, how they're living their life, why they're taking the actions they're taking, what about the people they're in their life, why are those people in, you know, because one person can be a more high vibe and one person can be a more shadowy. Are we on the same page, or did I get myself in another mismatched relationship? Some people will be willing to reconcile and reconnect if they're people from our past. Other people won't. And some of the people we meet in our future could be moving forward, and if they have mental conflict with the people they're moving forward in their life, if that's friendships, relationships, you know, they might be willing to stop moving forward with some of those people to see if they're more on the same page as you. And if you are, then basically the whole thing is for everybody to try to get in relationships with people who they're basically on the same page with. And is everybody willing to admit, I had lessons to learn, I had healing and growing and maturing to do, I was caught up in these things of the world, I was repeating some old patterns. Who are we on the same page with now to go on that new journey with? Not the high vibe people don't want to repeat a certain pattern, and they're looking for people who've learned those same lessons that they've learned and have healed from some issues in their past that could have made them be tempted to repeat those old patterns. You know, it's just like if you knew what it was like and how people acted, kind of like high school, you know, or junior high, you know, how people could have acted in friendships. Like, yeah, I've been there, done that. I don't want to hang out with people who act like that anymore. The way we could have conducted ourselves in romantic relationships when we're 18, 21, 25, and, you know, we're older than that now. If somebody shows me they kind of have that way of viewing relationships, that's not how I view relationships anymore. You know, if they want to repeat that kind of old pattern, they got to go find someone else. And the truth is, there's some people that they have no interest in doing love. It's about shadowy Taurus energy can be a more transactional relationship. I want these things of the world and to look like I'm a shining star in the world, that I have justice in the world. I want it to look a certain way, dress a certain way, act a certain way, have a certain amount of money. And that's what's most important. And either where they're indulged, or they think people should indulge them if they think they have those things of the world, and that's kind of how they view relationships and how they like to conduct themselves in relationships, or they're willing to also be someone who would indulge someone who has those things or would give them a certain status or image in the world. Other people have already been in relationships that are like that, and they don't want to be in a more transactional relationship. They want to be in a high vibe Taurus energy where people really are who they say they are, not presenting themselves as like someone motivated and inspired by love and being just and fair and being maybe like stable and grounded, but they really are. Because the people who are just presenting themselves as being that aren't driven into love. Isn't what drives and motivates them. It's these things of the world, or being more about themselves, finding someone who indulges them in their poor behavior, bossy, stubborn, prideful, whatever, or a more materialistically superficial and shallow life is more important to them, or just being in a relationship where they can be more superficial and shallow and they don't have to heal or grow or mature themselves. And other people want the opposite. I want people who want to explore the mysteries of life, who don't like being in more superficial and shallow relationships, being in jobs and careers or relationships with people more for the status or the ego or the image. I want to live my authentic life and I want to enjoy it and be with people who I enjoy, be in career fields that I enjoy, being around supportive and encouraging people, and I in turn am that kind of person with them. And some people are like, I want all that, I just don't want to be that type of person. Well, they got to go find someone who's willing to basically kind of give up their dreams to indulge them for some reason. And some people think you should. They make their life all about them and love themselves. They're the most important person. And then they think you should make your life all about them too. You're not supposed to be more independent. You're not supposed to have your own dreams and aspirations. They want to manipulate and control people in a relationship, some of them. So what's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy? We got 4 cards not showing themselves. The reason it came out is because of the 3 of Pentacles. For any of you going through this process, the 3 of Pentacles to me talks about freeing yourself, because the 3 of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil, which is all these things that can manipulate us in the world, in our fear, in our insecurity, in our lust, in our greed, in our immaturity, in our codependency. And as high vibe people listen to their intuition and have that being inspired in that hopeful, believing spirit to believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, keep reconciling themselves that not everybody's on the same page as them, see the truth of it, and not let it get us up in our head, and having hope and faith and belief that I think life-giving energy represented by God at the big picture is that it is about learning lessons. And if you are willing to learn the lessons, not repeat some poor past patterns, keep taking action in letting truth and love and hope and belief guide your decisions, I think you'll go on a new journey to learn more lessons. And you won't be investing your time, energy, and effort into people. You can wish a lot of people peace and say hello and visit with people, but the people I'm going to go on this new journey with are the people who I do have these balanced, authentic, loving relationships with. Not people who are immature, superficial, and shallow, still have a lot of mental conflict about being more authentic or loving. I'm going to go on a journey with people who are willing to go on that journey with me. So as you do this work within yourself, you free yourself from what used to manipulate you. And as you reject harnessing these energies in a shadowy way, you detach from the people in your life who still kind of align with those energies in a more worldly, shadowy way. And what some people don't know about you is you're not the same person you were before. You've changed. Your truth is different than it was at a prior phase of life. And now you're harnessing these energies in a more high vibrational way. So we have the Fool, the 8 of Swords, the 7 of Wands, and the King of Wands. Previously, you had these lessons to learn in life. The Fool card is going on these journeys to learn lessons in life. You were a fool for the world too. You had all these lessons learned. And you maybe had some fears about love, fears about standing up for yourself. Had to learn these lessons in life to make better decisions in your life. Both of these are Aries energy. So initially in our worldly nature, we could harness a more worldly Aries energy. But high vibe Aries that we can harness is where we have learned all these lessons in life and we're making better decisions in our life. And because you're standing up for yourself and making good decisions in your life, there would be people who'd like to be the next type of people to indulge in a relationship with you. But they know you're not up in a mental prison anymore. You're focused on truth and love. And that's what inspires the actions you take. And they're like, oh shit, so I can't manipulate you? I can't tempt you in your lust or your greed or your pride or your ego? No, you'll have to go tempt someone else. And they're like, oh shit. And you're going on this new journey with other people who harness high vibe Taurus, high vibe Capricorn, Aries, Leo, and Gemini, whose truth is, I have learned lessons in life, and I want to be in relationships with other people who have learned those same lessons in life. And the people who haven't, I wish you peace. I hope it works out for you. But if you're not willing to be more authentic and loving and warm, and you want to live from your ego, maybe more defensive or about yourself, you need to go find someone else. So then those people have to go find someone else to go get in a relationship with. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy that they might not see coming? The Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. Why? Because of the Page of Pentacles. When people kind of act kind of shadowy or immature or whatever, they're always going to have some more high vibrational people in their life who had that hopeful, believing spirit with them. In the Six of Pentacles, Taurus energy, they wanted to do equal give and take in relationship, but they wanted to do it in high vibe Leo energy. Being authentic and loving and warm. But the shadowy people are like, no, I want you to exchange time, energy, and effort with me in a relationship, but how about you be loving and nurturing, but I keep investing in my egoic defensive nature? And eventually, the high vibe people in their life are like, I need to go because I've seen the truth. I keep trying to do equal give and take, being authentic, truthful, and loving, and you keep aligning with your more egoic, defensive, stubborn, immature nature, unwilling to be a student of life, to learn lessons. Like, nope, I have a way of doing it, and that's the way I want to do it. And if you don't want to do it my way, then you can leave. And some of the high vibe people in their life are saying, I'm leaving. And if they keep acting like this, the people that will maybe stay in a relationship with them are just people who view life that same way at whatever emotional maturity level it is, or maybe more inspired by the world, more inspired to be in more codependent relationships, willing to indulge them. You know, some people like a parent-child relationship. I get to be the parent and you be the child. And some people like playing the childlike role. Won't you be like a loving parent to me? I still get to be immature and act like a brat, but won't you love me like a parent would love me? And basically, the more emotionally mature people in their life aren't in a relationship with another emotionally mature person. But, you know, they could tell themselves, well, I love them, so I'm going to stay in that type of relationship. Well, that's an imbalanced, unjust kind of relationship. They could be in more balanced relationships, more just and fair lives, but they have to be willing to love themselves, their own inner child nature, that wants to be in mutually loving relationships, just and fair and balanced relationships. But some people like to control other people. Some people like to be controlled. It's like, okay. High vibe people are looking for more just and fair relationships. And then this relationship, could be more, I haven't learned to love myself. You haven't learned to love yourself. Okay, let's be in a relationship and think that this will be the answer to my problems until I realize that this isn't the answer to my problems. I need to reconcile myself with some issues in my past that caused me mental conflict and pain and heartbreak, because why am I not freeing myself from these things that manipulate me that could make me keep repeating an old pattern over and over? So there you go, Taurus energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.